1. As a disclaimer, I live in the UK and at the time, minimum wage was £7.38 an hour for my age group. So this happened in September 2018. I had just turned 21 and was looking for my first job. I thought I'd try waitressing as a way to get used to being around people, improve my social skills, and maybe become a bit more active. After looking over the summer, I finally found somewhere. Codename The Diner. A somewhat local place that was looking for waiting staff. I applied, and almost straight away got asked to do a trial shift. On my first day, I was due to work 4 hours, the exact hours escaped me, and I had no problem with it as I thought it would just be serving customers, making hot drinks, and prepping tables for the next customer. Very quickly it was clear that this wasn't the case. On top of the usual waitressing things, I was expected to clean the entire dining area and counter, with the till and coffee machine on it, and be a dishwasher. Oh, and I would be the only waitress working most of the time. For my first trial shift, a woman I assumed was the owner or the manager, I can't remember if she told me or not, was there to help me out, but I was mostly left to do things on my own. She told me how things worked and said I would be paid weekly on a Wednesday, and if I remember, this was a Monday. She also said I was free to have water or make myself a hot drink, but if I wanted a fizzy drink, soda, or any food, I would have to pay for it myself, no employee discount. When I had to deal with the payment of a customer, I looked to the manager who told me to sign in using Amber's login, as I didn't have one. This will be important later. Almost the entire shift, the owner's husband was sat at a table, and would eat food I knew he didn't have to pay for, and would constantly tell me that I'm doing something wrong, or that I missed a spot while cleaning. The rest of my first trial shift went pretty uneventful. I waited tables, did a lot of washing up, and was running around the diner like a madman, trying to get everything done. But I got through the 4 hours and got my tips at the end of the day. They later asked me for a second trial shift, to which I hesitantly agreed. I noticed that this time there was another waitress already there when I arrived that morning. I was grateful to have another waitress there to properly help me, but boy was I wrong. Almost the entire time, the other waitress kept washing dishes and cleaning surfaces, not actually doing much waitressing. And the one time I did come to the till to help with the customer, I used Amber's login as I was told to. This made the other waitress mad because it turned out she was Amber.
Why are you using my login? Who tells you to use my login?
The lady told me to.
Don't ever use my login again, because if you mess up, it'll look like I messed up.
I pretty much backed off from her for the rest of the shift until a quiet period hit us towards the end, and Amber came to see me in the dishwasher area where I was working, and asked pretty general questions. Then she looked at my shoes. For the record, I was wearing black Doc Martens.
Are those shoes comfortable?
Yeah, they are. Took a while to break in, though. Amber pressing the end of my shoe with her thumb.
They seem pretty hard and uncomfortable.
They're fine, I guess.
You should wear shoes like mine. They're so much more comfortable.
She was wearing ballet flats, the type that would fly off anyone's feet if they were walking too fast. Yeah. I very highly doubt I would ever wear shoes like that when working at a restaurant. The way this woman was saying these things was really giving me vibes of, you're just a kid, you don't know anything about the world. After I went home, I got a call from them asking if I would do another shift for them. But this was a 9-hour shift. Keep in mind, they hadn't formally hired me by this point. No contracts were signed, and although they asked for my bank details to pay me, they never actually paid me when they said they would, as I would later find out. I said no, and didn't hear anything from them again until I contacted them around 3 weeks later to ask for my payment, as it wasn't paid into my bank account. I had to come into the diner to get paid in physical cash, and when I opened the envelope to count my pay, I found out they had underpaid me. I was supposed to have been paid around £66 for my work, and I was only paid £60. If I wasn't halfway home when I counted, I would have probably gone back inside and demanded the remainder of my pay, but honestly, I was so done with that place I didn't even care. The diner ended up closing permanently in July 2019. 2. Okay, hi friends, long-time server. We have 2 floors, and last night I was serving upstairs, and because of the obvious restrictions and whatnot, we only have hosts downstairs. When we are on wait, the host will see when there are open tables upstairs, page the guests, and send them up. The server then greets them, sees where the host had pre-planned for them in our system, and we seat them. Now that you know how that works, I'll also just add in here that I am one of the top servers in my restaurant, consistently selling the most every week, and I'm a trainer, so my managers all love and appreciate me and mostly have my back. Okay, so the Karen family is paged that their table is ready. They walk upstairs and stand by the host stand while I finish at my table and make my way over to them. I say, "Hey guys, how's it going?" They just stared at me. Finally, the wife goes, "Did we just seat ourselves?" I, holding a paper cocktail menu and silverware after walking over to them and feeling like I had made it clear I was about to seat them, said, "Nope, that's my job. You guys can follow me this way." They follow to the 6-top table, and they all take their seats. I slide the silverware I was holding down to everyone individually, instead of just setting 6 silverware on the end of the table for them to hand out. I said our menu is all virtual now. There is a link on your table, I'll be right back. Come back and ask if they have any questions or if they'd like me to get some drinks started. Again, silence. I just pick someone and say, "Okay, can I grab you something to drink, sir?" We don't have what he asks for, but I suggest something similar and he says okay. The wife asks what beer we have. I said, "We have a lot. What do you like to drink?" She said, "I don't know, that's why I'm asking you what beer you have." I say we have 27 beers on draft and 19 that are bottles, so if you tell me what you're usually into, I can guide you through what will work for you.
Jesus Christ, I'll just have a Bud Light since you can't sell a beer.
I, looking stunned, laugh and say, "Okay." Her husband turns his attention to me and says,
"Are you having a bad night?"
To which I say, "No, sir, are you?"
"No, we're just trying to have a nice family night and you're rude. You've been rude the whole time and you threw our silverware at us."
I'm just stunned, so I say I definitely did not throw it at you guys. I was trying to slide it down the table for all of you. Sorry if it came off that way. I'm not having a bad night, and I haven't had an attitude. The wife jumps in and says,
"It all started up front when you said, 'That's my job.'"
Changes the entire tone I said this in, by the way.
"And now you've just been rude to all of us this whole experience."
We're like 5 minutes in from them walking up the stairs at this point. And then she yells so loudly my other coworkers hear,
"Your aura is fucking ugly and we don't appreciate that. Just send us a new server."
It took everything I had, like, I mean everything. Not to say anything rude back to her. I just said, "I am happy to grab you a new server, and I'll just grab my manager for you too while I'm at it." My manager goes over knowing everything from my side already, and they tell him I was rude by seating them and making that comment on how they could not seat themselves, when there was no host at the stand and we just assumed it was pick your own table, and throwing their silverware, and my attitude and aura are just plain ugly. My manager stuck up for me and said I'm actually one of their best, but they still insisted on another server. Imagine being one of the 3 other servers, having already heard and seen this go down, and now it's your table. That server made $6 on 80, by the way. Fuck you guys, my aura is fucking shiny. Three. So the setting is a restaurant my ma and I both worked at about 10 years ago. She, then 40s, was the bar manager. I, then 18, did time on the floor and in the bar. I learned most, and we both had the smoothest nights when we were together in the bar. And it always confused me when people said, "Oh God, how can you work with your mum?" "I couldn't work with mine ever." I loved it because she knew everything there was to know about any aspect of bar work and customer behavior, and if you ever had any questions at all, she knew the answer. This particular night I was on the floor. There was only Ma, me, the underwater ceramics technician, and the duty manager. It was more than an hour after the servery had closed that we were getting pretty ticked off with this table of 5 ladies who just would not leave. Like, cool, catching up with friends is nice, but you're the only table left in the whole place, and the rest of the tables have been shut down. The other half of the restaurant has its lights off, and the staff were chatting at the bar because there was literally nothing else to clean. One came to the bar and asked for a coffee. Ma went, "Oh," reached out, grabbed onto and held for about 60 seconds, the silver ring you twist the handles into on the coffee machine. For those of you who don't know, those rings are extremely effing hot. She told the lady that unfortunately she'd cleaned and turned the machine off about 30 minutes ago, so it's cold now and would take ages to heat up. The lady nods and turns to go back to the table. Not out the door, like she should have, and I saw Ma dart her hand out and flip the switch next to the machine. It was on the whole time, and this tough bitch has been a chef, mother to 3, barmaid and wife for most of the last 20 years, and holding on to scalding metal did not faze her one bit if it meant we could get home and have a beer 10 minutes earlier. Love this lady. They did eventually leave, but that was one of the many shifts I saw Ma do something that enabled the rest of us to have a better and easier time. The people who owned the place refused to allow us to tell people, "Bruh, the server stops taking orders at 9 p.m. It's bloody 11 p.m. Go home." The outside lights were on a timer and turned themselves off at around 11:30 p.m., and we had one couple come in complaining that the lights had turned off and they weren't done yet. Like, that night it was just myself and the manager, and these two had only been drinking wine and chatting for the last 2.5 hours, and we were simply waiting for them to go so we could lock the door and walk out. That was one unreal place to work. There's a few more stories, but having just gotten off the phone with Ma, I remembered it, and thought you may all enjoy this wholesome woman who takes absolutely no shit. I hope to be half the woman she is when I grow up. 4. I know it's easy to think customer is always right, and if you order something online that you used to get at a restaurant, you sort of expect a similar level of service, right? Nope. Unfortunately, the price doesn't drop too much, the food quality stays basically the same, but the menu and service side take a big hit in lieu of making sure the food's fresh, in a box, and at your door in time. I'm sorry to break it to some of you who order food and think that the time it first pops up with is set in stone, or your very bizarre and specific instructions for the kitchen and or driver aren't always met, but I have to say, think about how the food is getting to you before leaving those scathing reviews online. I hit my 9-month anniversary of running a takeout, and have dealt with some strange complaints. So I've got some advice for those who don't understand what it is we're doing. If you order your food to come ASAP and the initial time on the website says up to 90 minutes, don't go for a bath, or go to the shop, or go lie down and set an alarm for exactly 90 minutes, only to be incredibly angry when the food arrives early. And no, sorry, getting out of the bath early didn't ruin your night, upset your children, nor does it justify a full refund and free meal. If you put a request for something that's trying to bypass a monetary upgrade to a dish, don't be shocked and incredibly angry when it doesn't happen. If you wanted to change your fries to sweet fries, the button on the website allows you to do it for £1.50. So if you find yourself not wanting to part with any precious money but still want those sweet potato fries, try sprinkling sugar on the fries we send. We run a business, not a charity. Same goes for the people who want to add something to my order that I placed online, knowing full well you can't pay over the phone, and saying,
"We eat here all the time. I'll pay for it next time I'm in."
The website tells us how often you order, Mr. New Customer. Pre-ordering doesn't mean it's going to get to you exactly at the time you choose. It means your food is coming within a certain time window, mainly depending on if other customers in your area are ordering food too. When my delivery driver comes back to the restaurant saying the customer was incredibly angry because the food was 15 minutes late, and when he got to the person's house the family were sat around the table, which was set with cutlery and empty plates, waiting on the arrival of our food. That's not my fault. Set the table when the food's ready. Also, if we close at 10 p.m. but the delivery window is up to 90 minutes, so you select the absolute latest possible time of 11:30 when we're usually at home, feet up watching TV. That food is coming early, don't act surprised if you don't answer your phone for the 3 hours when you place your pre-order. "I'm not hungry yet" isn't good enough. Order when you're hungry, my man. Requesting no plastic, we're a low-waste household. Doesn't hold much water when our sauces come in plastic containers, and our soup pots have plastic lids. Unless I'm serving you 16 fluid ounces of mayo in your cardboard bowl, you're getting a little bit of plastic for your sauce, buddy. Just stick it in your neighbor's wheelie bin if it makes you feel better. Too expensive isn't a reason to request a refund either. The price is listed online, the pictures of the food are too, the 1,000 plus reviews are there too, describing the food from other patrons. So don't be shocked when you get food and you see £20 gone from your online bank account. It costs what it costs, no hidden fees, no small writing.
I'd be happy if I got half my money back.
And I'd be happy if you paid 5 times over again, but it's not a perfect world. We love feedback, but our drivers are employees who are hired to drive and don't have much involvement in the menu writing, marketing, or general management of the business. So standing and telling them how we can improve on our recipes while his engine is running in your dodgy area and somebody else's food is getting called in the back seat isn't such a great idea. The phone number listed online goes right to my phone, and I run the place and write the recipes. Call me anytime we're open.
Why did you cancel our order? This is unacceptable.
Well, Margaret, we are set a 3-mile radius for a reason. If your house is 7 miles away, putting in a fake address with your real one written in the driver instructions doesn't float. We do offer collection if you want to pick it up yourself. 5. So I got my first job at a Domino's. It was kind of tough, I'll admit. I have autism, namely Asperger's, so following some of the instructions and social interactions required in the job was tough. I was trying my best, and I thought I did all right. Evidently, I did not, and I'm fairly certain it was because of one particular bitch of a manager whose real name I'll be using. Ashley. Ashley is and will always be a first-class bitch. The first day I met her, she would not stop talking. And this wasn't talking with you, just talking at you kind of deal. And she always sounded incredibly snide about it. My first inkling of what she's like was when I was replacing the chicken for the making station. I was taking out the box which the chicken had been in to replace it. Now, she said to just put the old one in. I was confused. The old one of what? There was leftover chicken in the box, but that's not one. That's a whole bunch of stuff. So I start putting in the old box because she didn't specify it was chicken that was supposed to go in. She takes it from me and does it herself, making some of those snide remarks. I bring up I have autism, and I will never forget what she said to me.
I know 5 people with autism, and they are all very smart.
Lying fucking ableist bitch. Autism is a spectrum. It doesn't mean we're all smart savants. It means that there's a whole bunch of traits and difficulties with social interactions to take into account. It's not a one-size-fits-all diagnosis, and never will be. There's no way she knows 5 people with autism who are savants or very smart. I hope I don't get flack for this, but ableism is just as bad as racism, sexism, and every other ism out there. Later in the same shift, I was waiting in front of the oven for the lava cakes, and there she was, talking at me in a smug tone while I just stood there waiting to take the food out. Eventually she said, and I quote, with a damned smirk on her face,
I'm sorry, I'm just like this.
I just stared at her, pretty much done with her bullshit. She left, I take out the lava cakes with the grippers, and they fall onto the floor, frustrating as hell. And I clean it up, but dear old Ashley, bitch queen of the universe, never let me forget this incident, and was smug as a weasel about it as well. She'd always make comments about me being slow and new and stuff, and I'd always be able to hear it. Small work environment. One time, when she mentioned having a kid and I expressed surprise, she got really offended for reasons I do not understand. I just didn't think she had a kid. She didn't need to get defensive. She'd always talk about her life in detail, including how she's banging a guy who's still pining for a girlfriend he broke up with when they were 14. One incident, which will always make my blood boil, was when I cut a pizza and gave it to the customers, only for them to come back because it was inedible, wasn't cooked properly. Keep in mind, I just cut it. Ashley did not hesitate to throw me under the bus for this to the customer's face, saying she was sorry. We had someone new, me, handling that pizza. Bitch, I'm pretty fucking sure you made it. And later she complained about something being wrong with the oven. The fucking gall of this woman. I got the feeling she was singling me out for this kind of treatment, and eventually asked to just have shifts where she wasn't there. Ended up working 1 shift a week. I honestly began to think it was just in my head. Until one shift where it basically descended into a tell horror stories about how awful that bitch Ashley is. All of my co-workers had a story about her, including going on 30-minute smoke breaks to drive around in her car, deliberately screwing up orders so she can take food home, and probably, worst of all, when she said that calling her bruh was as bad as calling someone the N-word in front of a black coworker. And she doubled down on it. When I joined in bringing up that I thought I was being singled out, everyone backed me on this. It wasn't in my head after all. She really had singled me out for harassment in the work environment. What a way to be validated. Anyway, after New Year's Eve, I decided to just wait for a new shift and came in to ask. My manager, not Ashley, said I wasn't currently employed with them, that they didn't need me. Okay, that's something. They didn't say if I was fired or not, just that they didn't need me right now. So I waited for a new shift to be given to me, and waited, and waited. Nothing for 3 months. Finally, I called them to ask. Turns out, yeah, I'd been let go. In other words, fired. And I only really found out by calling them. I'd heard this manager was bad and all, but I didn't think he was until this moment. Yeah, he might have given me some kind of way of saying I was being let go without making it sound like I was sort of employed. Part of it was my performance issues, and another, I made an inappropriate comment to one of the managers. Who didn't report it, and wasn't Ashley. No, one of the other managers. I wonder who reported it. I cannot recall ever having made such a comment in my entire time working there. The manager I was speaking with didn't even tell me what it was. Looking back, as much as I liked the people I worked with, it wasn't the best environment. What with people like freaking Ashley and the guy who trained me, who, now that I think about it, didn't really take my autism seriously. I'm not sure if I can prove I faced discrimination in the workplace, but holy shit do I believe it. Just, is it normal to be fired without being told like this? Or to be told you're not currently employed with them? Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 127. And we have a little shout out to give here. Okay, let's see. Not to Tiger Ruler 711, the author of story number 3, but to say that their ma rocks. And indeed, Tiger Ruler's ma, you do indeed rock. I can just say I was having slight flashbacks listening? Well, I suppose I was listening as I was narrating. That's why I wear headphones, I guess. Yeah, I was having slight flashbacks as I was reading / listening back to the final story there. While I'm not on the spectrum myself, at least I don't think so. I figured I'd probably know by now. Anyway, I'm not on the spectrum myself, but we've all worked with an Ashley. Mine was not called Ashley, but she was basically a fart in human form, is the best way to describe this person. Same deal. You know, thought they were the best at everything, bending the rules for themselves so they could get things cheaper. All sorts of shenanigans with them. Had their nose so far up the manager's ass they could see daylight. Okay, enough grumbling. I'm going to head off for now. So until next time. Oh, and actually, doing that story about takeouts kind of made me want to make a chow mein. Stores will be quiet now. I was out once this week already. I think it'd be okay to go out for a second round. Really, I should be getting out and going for a walk once a day anyway, but okay. Anyway, right, enough of that. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.